This is the download from Sounds Profitable, your daily source for the essential news in the business of podcasting. I'm Gavin Gaddis. Here's what you need to know for today, Tuesday, March 10th. Before I get into the top stories, quick reminder, Podcast Movement Evolutions at South by Southwest kicks off Friday, March 13th. Admission is free with no South by Southwest badge or extra ticket required, though South by Southwest badge holders will receive priority access. You can join in at Skybox on 6th for 3 days of curated panels, social events, and live performances in a 400-person venue with capacity for 350 plus, overflow in a neighboring space. Pre-registration is live and highly encouraged. First up, Podbean pulls DAI in Europe. Podbean has emailed users announcing their dynamic ad insertion tool PodAds will no longer serve ads to listeners in the UK, Europe, and European Economic Area, effective immediately. The company told Pod News the decision to pull DAI from the region was, quote, based on a combination of evolving global privacy regulations and a shift in our internal product focus, end quote. Next up, the most effective podcast ad is the one people actually hear by Jonas Woost. Woost, curious about the average listener retention of a podcast episode and how it impacts podcast ads, presents data collected from over 100,000 podcast episodes. On average, audiences on Apple Podcasts and Spotify complete 76% of a podcast episode. The data shows a correlation between episode length and average listen time. Episodes lasting 30 minutes or less average 85% listen time, 30 to 60-minute episodes average 83%, and 60-plus minutes average 65%. Woost argues publishers should share listen time statistics more often with advertisers to demonstrate audience loyalty and editorial quality. Advertisers should request listen time numbers to plan effective campaigns. Next up, BBC deals and developments. Last year, the BBC updated its audio release policy, allowing independent producers to commercialize content that is no longer funded by license fees. The first podcast to come available for sponsorship under this is Ellis James and John Robbins. Starting April 7th, the BBC will license the show for ad-free broadcast on Radio 5 Live, BBC Sounds, and other platforms. A producer-run commercial feed will include ads. BBC Studios has also announced a partnership with Bauer Media Audio, making BMA the exclusive third-party representative to sell BBC Studios podcast advertising in 7 European markets, specifically Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland, Poland, Slovakia, and Portugal. Next up, Companion announces podcast slate. Creator First Studio Companion has announced the first slate of 14 audio and video podcasts. To showcase the slate's tone, Companion will take over the Podcast Movement Evolution South by Southwest stage on March 14th for Companion Presents In Good Company. The evening will feature live performances, storytelling, and a headliner set from artist Andy Grammer. Actor Penn Badgley will appear for a live conversation, as well as performances from Ayana Butterfly, JJ in the Mood, and more guests fitting the spirit of Companion content. And for the final top story, mark your calendars, folks. The Timber Awards discounted submissions deadline has been extended. Submissions to Vox Topica's The Timber Awards opened February 2nd. The discounted submission fee period has now been extended to March 20th. The full-price final submission deadline is April 17th, with judging taking place from April to June, and winners will be announced June 15th. As for the rest of the news, European podcast subscription platform Podimo has acquired German podcast label Arc Studio, bringing it into Podimo Studios. The company has also announced several new executive leadership appointments across their London, Denmark, and Germany arms. Podstock has announced the launch of Agent, their new AI-powered virtual assistant designed specifically for podcast operation teams. Airwave has recently signed executive distribution, marketing, and monetization deals with the Really Very Crunchy podcast and the History Chicks. Variety covers the debut of Bill O'Reilly's new interview podcast, We'll Do It Live, produced by Red Seat Ventures. Triton Digital CRO Sharon Taylor recently guested on Pod News Weekly Review, discussing Triton's roadmap and what Apple Podcasts HLS video upgrade changes for podcasting. You can catch the full interview either as the podcast or you can read the text version at Podcast Business Journal. I've linked both in today's newsletter. Libsyn has signed 2 podcasts from journalist Mehdi Hassan, both Mehdi Unfiltered and We're Not Kidding, Mehdi and Friends. Both series will be monetized via Libsyn ads. And finally, the Native Advertising Institute has published their Significant Women in Branded Content for 2026 list, which includes Sounds Profitable's own Molly DeMillier. That will do it for today's episode. Reminder, you can find links to every single thing I just talked about by clicking the one link in your show notes, which will take you to today's episode post on soundsprofitable.com. You could also subscribe to the newsletter version of the download while you're there to get the next issue direct to your email inbox with all the links your heart desires. Today's episode was written and produced by myself, Brian Barletta, and Tom Webster. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Gavin Gaddis, and I'll see you tomorrow.